5. So you can still work with the category of file modules. Let me first describe some objects of this category of file modules. Let me give me 2 file modules. I could define a tensor product, which is a file module. I could define, give me a file module. I could define a dual object, still file module. And in the category of file module, there is a unique object, which means when under the first part, under the definition of our tensor product, this file module tensor product with any file module is still isomorphic to that file module. So recall. We can define the following file modules in the category of file modules. So firstly, tensor product. So as a K0 vector space, this is again just tensor product of K0 vector space. So you have to precise what are the phi and n structure. The Frobenius is given by an elementary tensor phi acting on D1, tensor is phi 2 acting on D2. The monodromy structure is defined to be still defined just by additivity, just defined on the elementary tensors. And D1 tensor is D2 plus D1 tensor is into D2, where of course we mean there is N1 here, there is N2 here, there is phi 1 here, there is phi 2 here. For all D1, D1, D2 in D2. Secondly, let's define a unitary object. K0 has a structure of phi n modules. I mean, as a K0 vector space is itself, Frobenius, we just put the Frobenius, the absolute Frobenius, and for monodromy we put 0, trivial monodromy. And then notice, it's a very small exercise, so let's call it exercise 1. K0 is our phi module, tensor is whatever phi module is isomorphic to D as phi module. What you have to do is just to check. Obviously, this map is just as module is just lambda tensor elementary tensor lambda x, and you check this is, let's call this f. F is compatible with Frobenius and filter, which means phi K0 tensor D equals phi d f, right? And let's just check it on lambda tensor x, for example. So the left hand side equals our definition f of, so the frobenius is sigma, and that is phi d of x, and then this is sigma of lambda phi d of x. The right hand side is phi d of lambda tensor x, and so this is semi-linear, so this is sigma lambda phi d of x. So this is okay. Secondly, let's check this is compatible with monodromy. Firstly, the right hand side is monodromy acting on lambda x. Monodromy is, recall monodromy is K0 linear, so this is just this. The left hand side, we use our monodromy defined on tensor product, so this is f. And K0 acting on lambda. Tensor x plus lambda tensor ndx, and so this is 0 by our definition of unit phi and module k0, and so this is just f of lambda tensor ndx, which by definition is lambda and dx, and so again they are the same. Okay, very small exercise. Okay, so now third remark, we're going to define due object. Due object, this is the most complicated one part. Assume Frobenius is again bijective. On the K0 module E, and suppose K0 dimension is finite. We can define the due object in this category as follows. As a module, as K0 vector space, this is just the K0 due of D consists of the set of K0 linear maps. This is a module structure, but I have to also describe the Frobenius and monodromy. So Frobenius is defined to be, so this is sigma K0 actually, just denoted by sigma. Eta Frobenius inverse. I mean, this is telling you that take any element here, this phi du defined over d du maps it to sigma compose eta compose phi inverse. And then there is a monodromy. Monodromy structure is minus eta compose, and again this means I'm mapping eta to minus eta compose n. Okay, here comes the second part of the exercise. So I kind of want to discuss why phi n and phi du and du are defined as above, right? Want to give it explanation. So the way we try to explain is that we're not going to give it a thorough explanation. We just give you one explanation. We claim such definitions will give tensor whole adjunction as Euro, which means as in the category R modules. So let's be more precise. We expect this is true. So this is in the category of phi n modules. We expect first tensor is isomorphic to so tensor is left adjoint in some sense to home. So all those we are talking about home in the phi n factors. Okay, so the exercise, what is exercise? The exercise is trying to show that under this definition defined as above, or with defined above, so this particular element here, which maps, let's say, eta tensor D to eta evaluate on D. So this in particular, this is obviously a bilinear map defined over du product D to K0. This is a bilinear map and it induces hence this linear map of the tensor product. Okay, so this is a particular element here, and this is mapped to under the isomorphism to this element here. Which is the map that maps D to, so this is a map to, let's call this F, F is a map to the linear map which maps D to F of eta tensor black, which means map to the linear map which sends D to eta D. Okay. So this part is basically the recall, still recall. Show that with phi n and do define about F is indeed also compatible with the phi n structure, and so in not only there but also there. And similarly, its image so here is DDU. Sure, this is DDU, and so its image, let's call this F tilde. Its image is again inside this as a phi n module. So I just write it similar. This is not, as I said, not a thorough proof of this isomorphism. This is just telling you that okay, with phi du and du defined in this way, kind of all the elements, kind of the classical proof still works because the Frobenius and n become naturally automatically compatible. Okay, so let's show. Let's just only check this element, particular element, small f. Right. So we only have to check f composed with the Frobenius defined over DDU tensor D. Evaluate on elementary tensor equals sigma, which is Frobenius over K0 acting on f of eta tensor D. Right, and so what is this telling us? This is by definition just f of, so firstly we have this phi du over eta, and then this is by our definition of Frobenius over the tensor, right? This is just over D, this is just the phi of D. Right, so the left hand side equals this, and this is just phi du eta, evaluate on phi of small d. If you want, you could write as let me think. So yeah, that's what you could do. So this is inside D again, this is again inside DDU, and so together this is inside K0. On the right hand side you have sigma eta evaluate on D. And so let's don't just, actually you could show that one direction is to show that left hand side equals the right hand side implies phi du equals the formula we give, but instead let's just put it inside and check it works. Okay, that's enough for us. So this is by our formula of phi du, sigma compose eta compose phi inverse eta phi of D. This becomes wait for a while. Did I made some mistake? Sigma eta and D. Wait. So let's check. So the left hand side is F compose phi tilde. We're going to check it's compatible with Frobenius. So we first apply Frobenius on the elementary, then apply F is the same as first apply F and then apply elementary. And when you apply this Frobenius there, this comes from Frobenius defined on the du, tensor with the Frobenius already on D. And so it's Frobenius defined over the du, evaluate on eta. Tensor with the Frobenius defined on D. And then by definition of F, this is evaluate Frobenius defined on the du, evaluate on phi of D. And more precisely, it's like this. So actually, yeah, let's be careful. This is in du, du, and this phi du is telling you that. So what's our formula? I guess this is a misunderstanding of the formula. Yeah, so I'm sorry. So here we misuse the formula. So the formula we were, let's come back here. So the formula we were claiming is that it maps this to this. Okay, so now you are mapping this, and so this is mapped to exactly sigma compose eta compose phi inverse, and then on phi of D. Sorry, yeah, and so this is sigma compose eta on D. And so they are the same. Okay, that's it. let's also check what have we left to check. This is only check this part. Let's also check on the right hand side. Okay, let's check that f tilde is also compatible with Frobenius. So what do we have to check? So again, this f tilde is here. So we have phi du here over k0. So we have phi here, sigma here. We're going to, and it's defined to be, so we take any eta, it's mapped to the map which maps d to eta of d. That's how it is f tilde defined to be. Now let's check Frobenius on the home. So there is Frobenius home. Right, Frobenius home is always so more precise. I mean, Frobenius here. This part, this is a home. So there is a Frobenius home. This Frobenius home is actually precisely maps element d. It maps element g in this home to sigma g phi inverse. So phi inverse comes from, because acting on d, and afterwards, after g applies, it falls into k0, and so finally we apply the Frobenius here. So the general formula is just phi g phi inverse, phi g phi inverse, just this phi here is sigma. Okay, so now let's apply the phi home. F tilde, because F tilde file, its image fall into compatible, file into that home, right? It's either the same as you first apply phi du on it, and then you apply f. So left hand side equals sigma g phi wait. So phi home acting on, let's say, f tilde eta. F tilde eta is the map which maps d to eta d. And so apply phi home. This is again a linear map which maps d to sigma g. What is g here? G here is this is g actually. Sigma g phi inverse on d. Wait. This is, so you're applying this phi home on linear map. Your previous linear map just maps d to phi of d. This is a linear map. And now you have applying phi home, so it should map d to sigma eta phi inverse d. That's it. Yeah. And on the right hand side, what do we have? F tilde, and now this phi du is by our formula. Phi du eta is sigma eta phi inverse. And so is our F tilde. This is mapping d to eta evaluate on d. So it's sigma, eta, phi inverse on D. It's exactly the same. So it's very convincing. I hope this is very convincing. This is the reason, motivation why we should define phi in that way. Okay, so I'm not going to check this for time reason. You check the similar reason to just make this and compatible. We define it that way.